Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And here we are at the very top of the show. We're discussing burnt out vans and all kinds of stuff before we hit record and play this evening. It's all going on.
It's an interesting Thursday. I mean, I was on the beach a few minutes ago, so I don't know how I got back here so quickly.
Teleportation or something, I don't know.
Anyway, so I think Tim is going to start us out with his bit of music news.
Yeah, so this is a story which came out this week. Now, you'll probably be getting this in a few weeks' time, so it'll probably be old news. But I'm assuming Joy heard about this. And this is Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters. Have you heard this story?
Yeah, he has. He's got another confession to make.
He has, absolutely. Now, I'm going to read the press release. It says, I've recently become the father of a new baby daughter born outside of my marriage. I plan to be a loving and supportive parent to her. I love my wife and children, and I'm doing everything I can to regain their trust and earn their forgiveness. We're grateful for all your consideration towards all the children involved as we move forward together.
I mean, there's not much we could say about it, Tim. It is what it is. My thing is as a celebrity, I think I would take extra precautions to make sure that, because that's where I feel like from the wife's perspective, it's like stabbing, because the whole world's looking.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what kind of arrangement that
yes.
Dave has with his wife. We don't know. We don't know if they're separated. We don't know if they have some kind of arrangement when he's on the road, whether she has partners. We don't know what's going on. And really, that's their business.
This is true. 100%. And that's the problem, though. As a celebrity, everybody thinks it becomes theirs. You know what I mean, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. So just got this good time Dave who plays in the Foo Fighters, now it's everyone's business. Really, it's nothing but Dave and his wife's business.
Yes, but it has to be so awkward for his wife right now.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm assuming he's a cheater. I'm assuming this was not a planned thing. And somebody did the maths and they were on tour in Australia 9 months ago. Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is. There's only so much, we could assume, Tim, but it happened. But yeah, as soon as I saw that, I got another confession to make jokes were all over my Facebook page.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing is that whoever this child is and whoever this mother is are going to be looked after. It's not like it's a strain on the social security system. Dave will fiscally look after this child. So really, it's nothing more than their business. But I don't know. I didn't expect it from Dave.
I didn't either, but I did a second, like a double take. You know what I mean, Tim? I was like, did I read that right? Okay, I read that right. All right, well, at least they were open and upfront about it. That's all they can do, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, I wish all parties well, but I mean, it really does seem that probably something not great has gone on to create that child.
Yeah.
But again, that's to do with Dave and his wife, so...
I kind of wondered if that was going to be your music news, because when it hit everywhere on my page for sure. Well, I have a little bit of a fun thing I want to do with Tim, because Tim would not know this, but the VMAs happened last night, or maybe he does know that, but I don't know.
I heard some references to the VMAs. Last time they had a VMAs, I made a point of looking who was being nominated, and I'd heard of nobody.
So we're going to do something a little similar before we get into the topic. I have a list here of what they say were the best performances of the night, 1 through 16. We're going to run through them and see if Tim knows who any of these people are.
Okay, I will give you an honest answer of whether I've heard of them or not.
And this is just from Billboard.com, what they rank 1st to 16th. The first one is Sabrina Carpenter.
I don't know who that is.
So on Ian's episode, that is the artist that we talked about. Ian Husbands started playing in his car, and he didn't know who it was. And I told you that Charlie swears that one song she had, Espresso, was written by AI. That's her.
There we are. Okay.
Apparently, she hung from the ceiling in a on a diamond encrusted swing, kind of Moulin Rouge, and then did some type of moon surface style song and an astronaut and some scantily clad aliens around her. There you go.
Okay.
And then the next one is someone that I have talked to Tim about, and I want him to. I'm gonna have to get him to do maybe like a react video. And this is Chapel Rowan. Have you heard me say that name a few times? I think now, Tim. I hope maybe.
If you did, it didn't sink in.
It was the one that I said sings the Pink Pony Club and a few other songs. I really like her, but she right now got blasted a little bit for going to the VMAs. No, I didn't read any that Charlie mentioned it to me. Apparently, she showed up in like medieval battle gear, did like a Joan of Arc type thing, flaming crossbows, castles. I don't know. The VMAs sound different than what I remember. We got Britney Spears with a snake on her. There were no flaming bows, but anyway.
I mean, when I saw it, it had Van Halen opening it, playing Pound Cake. I mean, and Poison and things like that.
I mean, so there we go, guys. But I really like her music, but apparently she canceled a few of her legs of her tour in Europe. And she's very popular in Europe right now to be able to go to the VMAs. And that was kind of like icky. Like she got invited to go to the VMA, so she canceled her tours for people who had already bought tickets and got their hotels set up. And, you know, because the thing about going to a big concert, and she's very popular right now, Tim, you probably have to travel. You probably set up your travel arrangements. You got the hotel, you got all that stuff.
Sure.
So there were a lot of people very upset with her. But in good news, at least she won some award. So I guess
there we
that's
are.
something. All right. So this person I don't know a thing about, and I have a feeling Tim does it if I don't. Carol G, but it's Carol with a K.
That's a name I've never heard of before.
Neither. Now, number 4, Tim has heard. Katy Perry was there, and she even performed a few of her older hits like Firework, California Girls, and Dark Horse.
There we are. I know Miss Catherine Hudson. I'm very familiar.
There you go, guys. Apparently, it was a really good performance, and I'm sure there was some dramatics. I don't even know how to say this first name. It's R as in Romeo, A as in Alpha, U as in uniform, W as in whiskey, Alejandro. So, I mean, I'm assuming they're Hispanic, but they did some type of Broadway West Side Story thing.
And that's a name I've never heard of before.
I don't know who any of these people are. Number 6 is Benson Boone.
But
It sounds like a cartoon character. Benson Boone.
yeah, it sounds like a cartoon character that smokes cigarettes.
Okay. Now I do know who these people are, and I feel like Tim will know who they are, but I don't know that he would know any of their music. It is LL Cool J featuring Public Enemy.
Yeah, I know who they are. I'm familiar with those people. The ladies love Cool J.
Apparently, it was the 40th anniversary tribute to Def Jam Records, so that's why they were there.
Def Jam being a very famous hip hop and rap record label. Famously, Beastie Boys' License to Ill is on Def Jam Records.
There you go, guys. And it says he performed like Mama's Gonna Knock You Out. I find it weird he performed Rock the Bells because isn't that the song he does at Christmas and then going back to California? So there you go. Now, the next one, I do know who these people are. Meg the Stallion featuring, and this person is somebody who's Japanese. So their first name is like Yucky and their last name is CHCBA. I don't know how to say it, guys. But he does a song with Meg the Stallion. And Meg the Stallion is really into Japanese culture, apparently.
Megan the Stallion is something I've heard of. Or I should say it's a name I've seen written down. I don't know who Megan the Stallion is, if it's a person, a band, or otherwise. I have no idea.
It's a person. It's a girl. One. Halsey. Have you ever heard of Halsey?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to go to the next one. You'll know this person. Lenny Kravitz was there featuring Quavo, which you don't know who Quavo is because that's a rapper, I'm sure. But you know who Lenny Kravitz is?
I know who Lenny Kravitz is. Quavo. So they're like potato chips they sell in the UK.
I guess.
or is that Quavers? Either way, it works either way.
I cannot answer that question. All right. The next one is Shawn Mendes.
No.
No. Eminem is the next one. You've heard of him.
Yep.
He has a new song out that's called Houdini, which is it uses Steve Miller Band's Abracadabra.
There we go.
Who said that?
I am familiar with and vaguely like one Eminem song called "Shake That," and outside of that, I have no idea what Eminem does.
So this is it says Memphis Breakout Gorilla, but it's not like gorillas with a Z. It's somebody else. So it's not like the Gorillas.
Memphis Breakout Gorillas. What's that?
Well, I mean, they're from Memphis. They're a breakout group and they go by Gorilla. But they're not the gorillas like we're used to with the Z. Like, you know
Okay.
what I'm talking about? Anyway.
Do you know what this is
Camilla.
like? It's like somebody's had like a band name generator on the internet and just hit go, and it's just random names. People wouldn't know any different.
I mean, I'm not very good at naming things. Our podcast is named the No Name Music Cast because I couldn't come up with anything. And we both talked about how Flagrant Hill has an interesting ringtone. So the next one, this is a person. I know who she is. Camila Cabello.
I have not heard of that person.
Oh gosh. Anita featuring Fat Joe, DJ Khaled, and Tiago PZK.
It sounds like it's on the it sounds like it's on a restaurant menu. I have no idea.
I know who Fat Joe is and DJ Khaled, but I don't know who the other two people are. This one's just Lisa in big capital letters.
I mean, what, Lisa Simpson? Lisa, my friend Lisa, who used to go out with Dwayne? I mean, what Lisa are you talking about?
Apparently, she was a member of the K-pop group Blackpink.
Hey, these are just random words. I mean nothing.
Tim's like, you're just pointing at the encyclopedia and saying what comes to mind. All right. So that was my little intro game I just wanted to play because we usually talk about the VMAs in some capacity, Tim. So my actual episode topic, though, is what I told you guys about on Threads. So I did the 30-day song a day challenge. It's really 31 days. With a listener who gave me and Tim a very nice review recently, Coco Cook Stew, that she is really nice. And if you like her, follow her on Threads. But I told her I was going to do this episode and she was okay with being mentioned. I did ask.
Okay.
So with that being said, I have 31 numbers. Tim's just going to pick a random one, and I'm going to tell you what the category was and what I answered and why I answered it that way.
Okay. So you just want me to pick out
Whatever number comes to mind, 1 to 31, Tim.
1 to 31. Well, I think the first one is going to be 4 because my birthday is coming up on October the 4th. So let's see what the fourth one was all about.
The fourth one is pick a song that isn't overly religious but feels inspirational or spiritual in a sense. And number 4 for me was River of Dreams by Billy Joel. Which, yeah.
Yeah, it has that sort of feel about it. I mean, it's not a gospel song, but it has that sort of idea about it. I mean, if I was going to pick one out, that wouldn't have been my first choice. It would have been Wilson Phillips's Hold On.
That was one that did come to mind. I thought about that. For some reason, that does feel very larger than life, I think. And River of Dreams has like backing gospel sound. And then like when he's talking about, dreams and things of that nature, that can be very spiritual as well. So that was just the first one that come to mind. And if you want to give them what you would pick as we go, because that'll be kind of fun to see your comparison.
Okay,
All
and as
right.
I said, I would have picked Hold On by Wilson Phillips, which is an incredibly inspirational song. I haven't thought about that song for a while, and it will get stuck in my brain, and I need to listen to it 10 times on a loop.
Fair enough. All right. What's our next number?
Okay, let's go with 19.
19. And I'm deleting them out as I go. So number 19 was has a really good music video. Well, ironically, we talked a little bit about this artist recently. I picked Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. I don't really feel like I have to explain that one. It's just a really good music video. The reason I think for me it stuck out is it was one of my favorites of Michael when I was little, because I distinctly remember the scene when he's walking with the lights on the sidewalk, Tim.
Yeah.
I feel like it for me, it was just such a moment that stuck out. I know it's not like a huge thriller or anything like that, but that stuck with the song for me. And it was one of the first songs I feel like as a kid I probably even knew from Michael Jackson. And that moment has lived rent free in my head. So that's why I picked it.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, certainly in the pantheon of his iconic videos, I mean, you've got your Bad, you've got your Thriller, Earth Song, even. But
Hmm.
this one is very simplistic in nature compared to the others. But as you said, you had a personal connection and a memory that was related to that.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's just a guy walking down the street singing about her. You know, he's got his coat over him. He's wearing very classic shoes, but for some reason, I don't know if it goes back to mom having me watch VH1 a lot as a kid. This is one that I just have a distinct memory with, and it is a good music video because I think that it is simple in nature, but you know, like you can see he's thinking about this girl and like the situation, and it does match the song really well.
Absolutely. Well, if I was going to pick one, I mean, on the sort of Michael Jackson sort of thing, it would have to be Thriller because I love the Thriller video, and the fact that there's a 4K version of it now on YouTube is fantastic. And if I watch it on my computer monitor, which is actually exceeds the resolution of 4K, there's so much detail that you can observe in that video. And the bit where he walks out the movie theater at the beginning, and you can see a person in the background selling popcorn. There's so many details that you would never pick up. However, I think that wouldn't be my pick, even though that is such a good video. I would probably go with something which I really enjoy, which I've probably seen so many times, and that's probably Weezer's Buddy Holly.
I wonder, that's a good choice. I thought about that one too, but I mean, all thing Weezer is pretty good too when it comes to like, they are one of those bands that do a good job of not just, you know what I mean, being a rock band, but they're funny. Like they're humorous and their music videos match so perfectly.
No, absolutely. And the Buddy Holly video is the one that's set on the set of Happy Days, and
Yep.
they've cut the footage in with a Happy Days episode, and they're all
Mhm.
dressed accordingly like Happy Days, and then like the Fonz comes on, and there's like a Fonz alike, and you only see him from the rear, and he starts doing like a dance on the floor. It is so well done.
It
The
really
only
is.
thing, and also there's a character who's in Happy Days, Arnold. He appears in the video as well, so it all ties it up. The only thing that's wrong with that video, all of them have 50s period correct instruments, guitars, drums, and bass. They're all period correct. Probably they rented them, original instruments.
Yeah.
When they're walking out, talking to Arnold, one of them has a Fender guitar case from the 70s. And it's like, no!
You had one job.
It should be a 50s tweed case. You've got it in a 70s case. No.
There's the continuance error right there. Tim's marked it.
Oh,
That's funny.
I can't unsee it. Now I've seen it. I cannot unsee it.
It's like where, and Tim will, this is a very specific reference, but you'll know what I'm talking about. The place that me and Tim used to work out opened a business that was a secondary business in a town over, and they did some decorating, and they put up the logo for our work on each side of the wall.
Yep.
But the N is backwards on one of them. It's the N, right, Tim? Or
It's
is it
the
the S?
S.
S,
They
that's
put
what
the
it is.
S upside down of the name of the business. And on a glance, you never notice it. But once you see it, you cannot unsee it.
And I had to sit in there in the board meetings while I was trying to focus and take notes. And then I just get distracted because I've been looking at the S. Because I have the attention span of a goldfish, but that's not related. But yes, it's the exact same. Once you know it, you'll never unsee it. All right. What number next, Tim?
Okay. Let's go numero uno, number one.
Once you've heard it, it will be stuck in your head for the entire day. Mine's pretty self-explanatory. You Can Call Me Al by Paul Simon.
Yeah. Now this is a fantastic song. It features a bass solo which is played forwards, and then the tape is switched and it's played backwards. And it sounds kind of cool to hear, but there are tutorials on YouTube of bass players telling you how to play that all in one go.
Oh, wow. I mean, I didn't realize that until you told me, Tim, because I've heard this song probably a million times. This is another music video that's pretty iconic that lives rent free in my head with Chubby Checkers. What is his last name?
Chubby Chase.
Whatever I said was not right. Just listen to Tim. But anyway, but that if you'll be my bodyguard, that whole chorus right there, I don't want to sing it till we get in trouble, will be in your head for like 7 weeks straight.
Yeah, and it's from the Graceland album, and the whole of Graceland is first class from beginning to end, top to bottom. It's you can't go wrong with it. He was experimenting a lot with world music. He had a lot of musicians from Africa on that album, and there's some really interesting sounds. It's such a good album.
We highly recommend it. Well, Tim, what's your it's going to be stuck in your head for the entire day choice?
Well, it probably is going to be Dolly and Kenny, Islands in the Stream.
I knew that was going to come. And thanks to Tim mentioning that every so often, I think I have it in my head for about a month.
I mean, also there's a yo, Mickey, you're so fine, you're so fine. I mean,
Tony Basil.
Yeah, which is a cover version.
But I like her version better. I will say that.
Her version is better. I mean, that is quite the earworm. But I don't know. When I hear Islands in the Stream, I mean, I just want to hear it 5 times now.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. What's your next number?
Okay, we're going to go with 21.
Would be the theme to your dream vacation. Okay, mine's a little cheeky. I put Margaritaville. Jimmy Buffett. But it was mostly because, like he said, talking about being out on the beach and stuff, and I haven't been to the beach in a while. Less about the actual margaritas. But I don't want to step on a popped rock or whatever it is he does and break his flip-flop.
Slip on a pop-tart.
Whatever it is he does. I don't want to do that.
Well, I'll be in Vegas in a few weeks' time, so it's fully my intention to go to Margaritaville, which is in the Flamingo. I've been to that Margaritaville before. And in fact, on a Vegas trip a number of years ago, Hannah and I were sitting there eating a cheeseburger in paradise, and a Vegas Elvis impersonator came in, wandered around for a bit, looked grumpy, then stormed out. It's just like, what? What happened there?
Maybe they didn't have his seat ready.
I don't know. It was just random. Very bizarre.
I wonder if he remembers you, Tim. Like if that's a listener of our podcast and they're like, I was that impersonator that one time. But what song would you choose to be your vacation song, Tim?
Well, I mean, I'd really like to see a lot more of the world. I'd like to go back to Australia. I'd like to see a lot of countries I haven't been to before. I'd like to explore some of Canada and even explore this country. There's so many things I'd like to do. However, there's a couple of ambitions I have, and I'll list them both out. One, I want to drive from Georgia to Texarkana, Texas, like they do in Smokey and the Bandit. And I'd have to listen to Eastbound and Down about 50 times.
Hannah would literally, her eye would be popping out of her head if she's with you.
We've spoken about doing it. It's just you'd have to fly to Atlanta and then pick up a car and do it. I mean, it's 6-hour drive there and 6-hour drive there. But whatever. One thing that I would like to do, which is an unfulfilled vacation holiday trip, I want to go back to California and I want to go to all the Knight Rider episode filming locations.
So you'd have to listen to Knight Rider music, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but then I would be listening to Laura Branigan's Self-Control, because that is a classic 80s song. It's in a lot of the driving montages in Knight Rider. And whenever I hear that song, I imagine myself driving in Southern California and maybe pulling up in front of a reasonably obscure filming location that's now an industrial estate. Because there's a guy on YouTube, the Knight Rider Historians. He does an episode by episode breakdown, then and now filming locations. I mean, this is why nobody is watching network TV. Nobody is watching NBC or CBS because whatever your interest is, there's somebody out there making YouTube videos for that. So, that's my interest, and there's 20,000 people that watch that. But if you're into, I don't know, I can't even think of anything. There's a niche YouTube channel for you, and that is why nobody is watching network TV.
It's true. That whole vacation thing took a turn there. I think I've laughed more. I've actually snored like more in this episode than I have in a lot of our recent ones. All right, so pick another number, Tim.
Okay, Two Little Ducks, 22.
22, which was popular when you were working one of your earliest jobs. Mine is a very random song that, won't really be much to anyone. I just heard it play a lot. It's The Sweet Escape by Gwen Stefani. That song was everywhere when I was working my first job, and I worked at a restaurant. I was a waitress. Everybody else, it's, first classic job. Pretty much. All right, Tim, what was a song that was popular with your first job?
Well, my very first job was working with my dad at Templeton TV because he worked at a TV shop and I used to work on a Saturday. And there wasn't really any songs that I can think of that take me back to that time. However, I did have work experience. Is that a thing in this country, work experience?
What do you mean?
So what you do is that when you're in sort of the last year or so,
Oh, it's school. Yeah, there's some schools that do that.
What they do is they pair you up with a business, and you'll do a week or maybe you'll do 2 weeks in a business unpaid, and then it's what they call it work experience. So you get an idea of what the workplace is like.
Yes, they have early release, and so I mean that's similar to an internship, but also like some high schools have early release where people can go work, and then it counts towards their credits and things like that.
Okay,
so yes, just a different name.
Yeah, I had my work experience in Curry's in Hounslow High Street, which was an electrical retailer. And when I was there, I actually sold quite a lot of stuff for them. And they had a video wall of TVs, and it looked terrible. So I tore all the cables out and I rewired it so it looked better.
Fair enough.
And they had MTV playing all day. And one of the songs I remember from that time was Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You, because that was on like heavy rotation, if you like.
Yeah, and it's got that iconic music video, so it's right up MTV's alley. That makes sense.
Yeah, so
okay.
it reminds me very much of that time. I can remember there being a morning staff meeting, and that thing was playing in the background, in fact.
Every time Tim goes back to that moment, it's just Sinead O'Connor in the background of everything he thinks of. All right. Well, if Tim wants to pick another song, we'll keep moving. Another number.
Okay, let's go top deck, 31.
31. You recommended to a friend in the last month, or a friend recommended to you in the last month, or you recommended to a friend. It could be either or. And the reason I picked mine was I recommended to Tim Peak Pony Club by Chapel Rowan, which goes back to the opening of this episode. And I guess you can do it either way, Tim. You recommended or somebody recommended it to you.
Well,
your choice.
I can't think of anything that I've recommended to anyone in the last month necessarily. I mean, I occasionally post things I'm listening to threads and the like, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. One thing that, I mean, it's going back a little bit. It's not necessarily in the last month, so I'm breaking the rules a little bit. It's my recommendation to Joy to listen to You Should Consider Having Sex with a Bearded Man by the Beards.
Yes, and that is on this list somewhere.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm pretty sure it's somebody recommended this to you. So, yes, so that one's, I'll just say, I think that one's number 23. It's an artist that you've recently learned about. Was number 23 was the Beards, Tim, so they made it on the list.
There we are. Well, I can tell you that the Beards, I didn't originally discover the Beards. Hannah was on some forum looking for something, and I can't remember what it was. And they posted the video. They have a song called If Your Dad Doesn't Have a Beard, You've Got Two Mums.
Well, then.
And she played me this song, and I was like, yeah, this is an interesting outfit. And then I looked on their YouTube channel, and I discovered all their other music. And then I discovered You Should Consider Having Sex with a Bearded Man and all the other songs. And then I got into their albums, and then I've bought their albums. And actually, they're getting back together.
Well, I mean, it's all come full circle for you, Tim.
Yeah, maybe this should have been something from that I put in the music news, but I'm gonna reveal this now. So I follow them.
Half the presses.
Yeah, half the presses. I follow them on Instagram and Facebook, and they've been defunct for a while. They did a one-off reformed gig last year, I think it was, and then I was idly scrolling. And it says, this is it, September 10th, press release. We are stoked to be dusting off our beards to play the final ever Blues Fest Byron Bay in 2025. Tickets now on sale. So it's going to be Easter long weekend, Thursday the 17th through Sunday the 20th of April 2025 in Byron Bay. If you're anywhere near there in Australia, you have to see the Beards. The Beards are fantastic.
There's our official recommendation of the episode. If you're anywhere near there, go quickly.
There we are. And I meant to do that at the beginning, but the Dave Grohl news just completely took over.
It sidetracked us. We weren't expecting it. All right. What's your next pick? Tim.
Okay, let's go for 17.
17 was makes you stop in your tracks. And I kind of took this as like if you're listening, you want to like listen to the whole thing. You know, when you get in, when you pull up to a place, Tim, and like it's playing in your car and you're like, I'm gonna sit here and listen to it before I go inside. That's
Yep.
what I took this as, and I put Don't Stop Me Now by Queen.
Yeah, this is a great song, iconic solo. The music video, everything about this is such a great song, and they play it at the very end credits of the Bohemian Rhapsody film.
And for me, like, I mean, it's literally like he's singing, I'm having a good time. When I hear it, I'm having a good time. That's what the song does to me. Obviously, that's what they were going for. Um, and so I always have to stop and listen to it because it's fun. But I mean, I don't have anything more to say, but it's just a really fun song.
Absolutely. Now, if I was going to pick one, it's hard to say because it varies. There could be
Yeah,
so many songs that I would want to wait
it
till
was
I
kind
hear the
of
whole
hard to
thing.
pick.
I will say I do really like Rage Against the Machine's Killing in the Name of. And if that
That's
was
a good
playing in
choice.
my car, I probably would wait to the end. It's a very powerful song, it's a very powerful message. And I like the way Tom Morello plays his guitar in this song. And I mean it's like a song that like whacks you in the head.
I could see that. I mean, it's a good song. I listen to that song regularly, so I agree with you, Tim. I think that one's a good choice.
There we
Not
are.
that I
See?
needed to justify your choice. I kind of struggle with that one too. Another one that I thought of was a Bang Your Head. Cause like I like if Bang Your Head comes on, I have to listen to it. That's another one that I thought quite
Mhm.
right. But I don't know, it's kind of hard because there's a lot of songs that stalk me in my tracks and I like them.
Yeah, because or a song like you get a few minutes into it and you feel like I didn't appreciate that enough. I'm going to start it again.
That happens to me a lot more than I care to admit. Or I miss my favorite part because something comes up and I have to go back and re-listen to my favorite part.
And that is fair enough too.
All right, what's our next number?
Okay, let's go to Sweet 16.
All right. So 16 is that your sibling loved to listen to. So I picked one from Brandy, who you guys are familiar with. She's a listener to the show. I have no idea if Tim knows this song, but it's very specific. It is Cool Like Me by Mike Posner.
No, that is a name I've never heard of.
The only reason I picked it, it doesn't matter. I think he was a one hit wonder, Tim, maybe a two-hit wonder at best. Think early 2000s, but there's a song where he's talking about, you know, you think you're cooler than me and like things like that. And so I liked it. I mean, I liked the song, but Brady was obsessed with it. It's like cooler than me by Mike Poser. And basically he's just singing about, you think you're cooler than me. And I just distinctly remember Brady playing it regularly in the car, at home, everywhere. That and Usher's Burn. That would be the other one. Sorry, Brady, to put you on blast, but those are the two songs I remember you listening to very regularly.
I wouldn't know what an Usher song sound like if I heard it.
Well, and sadly, Tim doesn't have any siblings.
Well, you know, the song that I was thinking of this would be a song by the Tremolos from the 60s called Silence is Golden because I don't have any siblings.
Fair enough. That was a good segue. All right, what's the next one, Tim?
Okay, let's go for number 2.
Was the gateway to a lot of music you currently enjoy. I had a hard time with this because I can't really there was a few songs that I thought, but I went with Tears of a Clown by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, and that's because Motown, like growing up for my family, was probably like the number one thing played. And I say that I learned a lot of the music from my household and like growing up. So I picked this song because it was a family favorite.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Motown music. I mean, not a lot of Motown was played in my house growing up. I will tell you that.
That's fair. I mean, my parents are both. The other songs that I thought of is, and this one is going to be a cliche, but Brandy by the Fine Young Looking Glasses played a lot in my house, and that's actually what my sister's named after. I was named after Joy to the World, Three Dogs Night Song, but then there's also I was named after a baby who died on the Waltons. That one's debatable. There was a chance that one of us was going to be named Layla from like Eric Clapton. So that kind of stuff is what I heard growing up. That and like Motown. Those type songs, I guess. Does that make sense? Like that kind of genre. And so I went with Smokey Robinson though in Tears of a Clown because that one is one that specifically makes me think of my dad.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
So I guess, Tim, what's your choice?
well, certainly as a gateway, I think it would probably have to be Van Halen's Pound Cake because that was early 90s. And as I said, I've spoken about it on the MTV Music Video Awards episode that we did from 91.
Yeah.
And they opened the awards with Pound Cake. This was around a time when I was, I'd learned to play guitar and I was playing guitar, but I was starting to discover more rock music because traditionally I was only listening to top 40 pop. And that was the first real Van Halen song that I heard. I wasn't too familiar with the David Lee Roth era songs at that point. And I heard that and I bought that album. And then from there on I sort of worked backwards from their discography, going back to the David Lee Roth stuff. And then, you start listening to other hard rock and music of that ilk. And it really did sort of open up that world for me.
That's how Tim got into the guitar, everybody.
Well, I was already into the guitar, but it got me into that guitar-based music. And another
That makes
artist would
sense.
probably be Stevie Ray Vaughan, that sort of opened me up to blues and blues-based music. See, I used to buy a lot of US guitar magazines that would talk about a lot of these artists. And of course, unless you bought these albums, there was no real way to know anything about them because that kind of stuff was not played anywhere in England at all. We didn't have rock radio, didn't have blues radio or anything like that. You'd read about them and in your mind you'd think what they were like. And it was only during this discovery period that you would discover these artists. And also it was at a time when I worked for Nationwide Building Society, which is a credit union in the UK. And we were very lucky. We always used to reach our branch targets for sales. So they used to give everybody like vouchers, high street vouchers. And you could go to a clothes shop or the supermarket, whatever. I always used to get HMV vouchers, which was the record shop, which was in Hounslow High Street, the big record shop. And with those vouchers in my hand, which was probably every quarter or something, you had a couple of £100. I would go and blow the entire lot in HMV. And then often I'd be expanding my musical horizons from things I'd heard or things I'd read about in Guitar World. And there's a whole smorgasbord of compact discs, and I'd start to expand my musical horizons.
There we go, guys. We learned so much about you tonight, Tim.
There we are.
All right. Well, what is your next pick, sir?
Okay, let's go with number 7.
Number 7 would be the soundtrack to your training montage. I picked St. Elmo's Fire. I mean, it's a classic one.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean, Tim? Like that, it gives training montage to me.
Yeah, I mean, if it hasn't been in a training montage, it probably should be in a training montage.
I'm sure it was, but remember, me and you have no idea what that movie's about. We even read the information and we still couldn't figure it out. None of it made any sense whatsoever. I'm still not sure that Wikipedia wasn't messing with us, Tim, and our lack of music, or not music, I mean, movie knowledge.
I mean, I would prefer not to know with a lot of these films. I mean, as I've said before, I don't get a lot of pleasure from the art form of film. It's not something that I look forward to and I find it a chore. So I'm never ever going to see St. Elmo's Fire. So the fact that we shoddily read the Wikipedia article is really all I need to know.
It's true. It's true. But it does feel like I'm in a training montage. I mean, it's literally, going to be a man in motion. It's talking about being in motion. So I can't imagine a better training montage. But what would be your pick, Tim?
Well, I'll preface this by saying this music and the person that it was written for, not actually directly written for, but that's a story for another time. I'm a fan of his output in the 80s. I try and separate the art from the artist. So I'm just prefacing that.
Okay.
But I would say it would probably be the Hulk Hogan song, Real American, which is by Rick Derringer. That would be my training montage.
Yeah, he's got some interesting things out there in the stratosphere at the moment.
Yeah, he's got a beer line and he's aligned himself with a certain political candidate I don't really want to care for. But that's we're not that podcast. But anyhow,
good choice though. I see why that would be an option for a training montage.
Absolutely. But I mean, that's a fist pumping. Bam, 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 bam.
Tim's definitely winning whatever, I don't know, sports ball thing he's doing. All right, what's your next pick?
Okay, let's have a look. So let's go for number 4.
Number 4 Wasn't that the first one we did, Tim, because it was your birthday?
That's true. Do you know what, Joy? I'm even writing these down, and I can't even do this quiz properly.
Well, I'm keeping track too, so we've got two people here. All right,
Okay.
try again, sir.
Okay. Counting is hard. Let's try number 5.
All right. So number 5 is going to be funny because Tim's going to laugh because it's a song you enjoy in a different language. I picked La Courage by Selena, which for those who don't know, Selena is the artist that I didn't know wasn't popular in the UK. She was a Mexican American artist in America in the early 90s, and she got killed by her own biggest fan. Like there's a whole drama behind it. So that's what I picked. And so what is a song, Tim, that you like in a different language?
Well, there's several. I mean, there's 99 Luftballons, which is interesting. But as I said, in the UK, we got the English version. But one I think I'm going to go for, which one that you may not be aware of, I don't know, is Venessa Paradis, and it's a song Joe Le Taxi.
No, but I'm guessing it's French, and that's about a taxi.
Yeah, it was a song that was sung completely in French. And Venessa Paradis, she was a partner of Lenny Kravitz for a while. And then she had like a comeback hit many years later called Be My Baby, which had like a sort of Ronettes type thing. And she sung that in English. But famously, Venessa Paradis' Joe Le Taxi was all sung in French. And as I said, it was a chart hit. And it was an era of pop music where things like that would happen. These days, it seems to be pop is particularly contrived. I mean, I'm sure it was contrived back then, but you used to get novelty hits. You used to get one-hit wonders. You used to get things that were a little bit odder. The theme tune to a television program, or something
Love
that was
Boat or something,
yeah, or something that was a cartoon character that had a song that came out, or the Miami Vice theme tune was in the UK charts.
Disco Duck.
Yeah, there was an era of where novelty hits and weird things would happen. So it was not completely unusual that Vanessa Paradis' Joe Le Taxi became a hit in the UK. And she even appeared on Top of the Pops, that's because I remember it. But I don't know, pop music now seems significantly more contrived.
Have you ever heard this song, Ça Plaint Pour Moi, where it's like, Ça Plaint Pour Moi? Do you know what I'm talking about, Tim? So
No.
anyway, it's this one pop song. It kind of fits what Tim's saying. I think it was probably early 2000s. And it's funny because he's talking about his cat, like, drinking milk. Like the whole song is so weird. And like if you listen into it, if you just Google, look it up. And it's by the Plastic, what are their names? Bernard, something like that. If you look it up, guys. But it's like ça plan pom wah wah wah. And that's all it is. He just keeps yelling it. He's basically talking about his cat drinking milk at fridge. And that was like a hit for like 5 minutes.
Interesting.
So there you go, guys. And I think there's something about whiskey in it at one point. Anyway, when you were talking about songs in French, that's the first thing that came to mind. Which is that I love that song and I listen to it regularly. So that could have been an answer for this question too.
There we go.
All right. Pick another one, Tim.
Okay, well, I'll try and read my notes now and not try and pick one that we've had before. So let's go with the number 15.
Number 15, I think, is what you've done before. No, I lied, guys. It was in the 15 and 14 are together. I did. Tim was correct. All right. Is in your head right this very second. So for me, it was Cecilia at that time by Simon and Garfunkel. I mean, I don't think I have to explain that. Cecilia, that song, guys, it's pretty easy to get stuck in your head. All right. What's stuck in your head right now, Tim?
Well, right now is a song called Baker Man by Laid Back. And this was a song that was. Have you heard this song before?
No, that's what I say. That's very specific.
It has an outstanding video where everyone in the band is skydiving for real. It was shot for real, and I think it was done on one jump. There's a whole Wikipedia article about it. I think they're a Dutch band, and it's really them. It's not like doubles. The whole band is, and it's like hardcore skydiving. It's not like you do a tandem jump or something. They're all doing the full skydiving thing, and they're all pretending to play guitars and sing and drum while skydiving.
Skydiving.
It's absolutely
Okay.
amazing. But there's a piece in it where they're singing in Swahili, and I was thinking of mentioning that on the last one about the foreign language piece. And he says in Swahili, "Hey buddy, how you doing?" or "How your day going?" Or I looked up what it meant, but
Yeah.
it's probably the only song like that hit the European charts that has Swahili in it. But it's such a cool, chill song. The Baker Man is baking bread. And the video is amazing. I would say pause this podcast, and find the video for Laidback's Baker Man, and it's just amazing.
I mean, fair enough. Well, I just find it funny that like that all come full circle. Like you said, this is another one in a different language, but that was just such a specific thing, Tim. I wasn't expecting you to say, "Oh yeah, this random song where they're skydiving and it's in Swahili." That's what's in my head at the moment.
It was right in there.
Very specific. All went full circle. All right, how much time do we have left, Tim? I have not been keeping up.
We got about 12 minutes left, I would say.
All right, so we can do 3 or 4 more songs. All right, give me a number, Tim.
Okay, let's go with number 30.
Number 30. Oh, this is a great one. Number 30 is an all-time favorite, which is an impossible question that no one could think of at the top of their head, right, Tim, when you ask them about music. So
Sure.
I know exactly why I picked this one because I had listened to it that day.
Okay.
I picked Aqua, Dr. Jones. I loved Aqua's first album. I loved Barbie Girl, but I loved all of their music. I am a self-confessed Aqua lover, and their first album that was just self-titled Aqua was fantastic. And if you enjoy that kind of music, it's really good. I don't know. Have you heard Dr. Jones, Tim?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Okay,
I've heard
perfect.
it. Yeah, well, absolutely 100%.
So that's why I picked it. I'm sure I had listened to that album that day. And I couldn't think, it's hard for me to say is an all-time favorite. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on the week what's my all-time favorite.
Yeah, music is such a thing that something can be your favorite that week, and then you might not think of it again for another 2 years. I mean, that's just how it is.
And so, yes, that's how what mine was Aqua, Dr. Jones. All right, Tim, right now, what is your all-time favorite, or do you have an answer?
Well, this is something that's come up on my playlist when I go to the gym. So I should just say, for the last month or so, I've been going to the Christiansburg Aquatic Center. I don't like swimming, and I haven't swum. However, they have a particularly nice workout room, and we have a center in Christiansburg where you can use workout equipment for free. But I like this one, even though it costs, because it's right by my house.
Fair enough.
But I have a workout playlist when I'm on the elliptical.
Yeah.
I normally listen to an audiobook or watch wrestling when I'm on the treadmill, but when I'm on the elliptical, I like to listen to music because I have it cranked up pretty hard. I close my eyes and I'm ellipticaling away for like 15 minutes, and it really wears you out. And I need some music that really will pump you up for that.
Okay.
And one song that's come up several times this week is Chaz and Dave's Rabbit.
I could have predicted that that's what it was. That fits working out on an elliptical, too.
Yeah, because
It's a
it's
good
Rabbit.
choice, too.
Rabbit. It's got a really pounding beat, and Dave Peacock's bass line is absolutely fantastic. Now, Chaz Hodges on the piano and singing, Dave Peacock
Yeah.
on the drums, and Mickey Burt on the bass, and Mickey Burt on the drums. Now, Dave Peacock, you would think in a sort of novelty rockney type Cockney band type thing, you
Yeah.
wouldn't think he's a virtuoso. This guy is an absolute virtuoso bass player. And Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy said that he was his favorite bass player.
Well, there you go. It's always interesting when you learn that about somebody, because I feel like we have this habit of making assumptions about artists, and then when you find out, like, for example, like Lady Gaga with Juilliard, you know what I mean, Tim? You're like, oh, okay, well, all right, well, give us another song.
Okay, let's have a look through my list here. Let's go for 18.
18. Okay, 18. Helped influence a decision you made. Okay, mine is very specific. I don't think Tim will be familiar with the song, but the story will be nice. So this song is called Tiger Lily Matchbox Romance. And it was popular during the pop punk kind of time in the early 2000s, that kind of song. But this was a song that when me and Charlie were dating, he kind of introduced me to, and I liked it. So it helped me make a decision that I like Charlie.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked it. And so it's just a song that's near and dear to me because of that.
Yeah, and in a similar way, Tenacious D's Wonder Boy was not a song I was terribly familiar with. And Hannah sent me a copy of the Tenacious D album. And yeah, it made me, make that a good decision to the point where I am now. So
there you go. Well, I will say Charlie is a huge Tenacious D fan. So that and him and Hannah are very similar in a lot of ways. And that is another one. I told you, if he ever leaves me, it'd be for Jack Black, everybody. That or John Cena, which he does. He's not even into wrestling, but not related.
Yeah, it's funny that Charlie likes John Cena, but he's not into wrestling, really.
He just likes him for an actor, and he likes his personality. I don't know.
Does he? I didn't even know he was an actor. I just thought he was a wrestler.
He's an actor now. That's all he does pretty much anymore. But it's like he's an actor, but I use the term actor loosely. He's a movie star. So for those who don't know, this is the actual definition. An actor is somebody who could play many different characters. A movie star is kind of like that person that plays the same character in every movie.
Yeah.
So you can think of a classic example of that. Everybody knows I'm talking about. Adam Sandler's another good example of somebody who might be considered more of a movie star than an actor. So there you go. But I would say he's a movie star, Tim. I don't know if I would say he's an actor.
There we go.
Of course, maybe he'll surprise me. I've never really seen him in anything else.
I've never seen anything he's ever done.
All right. Well, give us another song, Tim.
All right, let's go with number 3.
Number 3. Okay. I'm actually happy to say this one because this remind you of one of your closest friends in your life. So my friend Molly, who was also on the show,
Yep.
I picked the song that Tim is familiar with because he's familiar with the musical Rent. I picked the song Take or Leave Me from Rent. Because when me and Molly get together, it is our go-to karaoke song. We have every part memorized. We don't have to look at the lyrics. She knows exactly which part I'm singing, and I know exactly which part she's singing. Like, we could do this with our eyes closed at this point. And it's just one of my favorite memories with Molly.
Well, that's good. I think for me, there's several I could pick from. One that comes off the top of my head, which is a song which I perform occasionally, even though I've retired, is Love Shack. And it reminds me of my friend Linda Jagger, who I used to sing it with in the band Moroccan Soul. And it's fair to say, whenever I hear that song, it makes me think of her because that's where I developed my Love Shack prowess, was during my Moroccan Soul days. And with her encouragement and being the female singer on that song with me, I can't think of that song without thinking of her.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I guess give us 2 more, Tim. Pick 2 more numbers.
2 more. Well, let's have a look. We can have number 6.
Number 6. Well, I actually have 2 songs for this one. Transport You to Another Place in Time. And the 2 I chose were Cotton Eye Joe by Rednecks and Tub Thumping, not Thud Thumping, everybody. Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. And I've said many times on the show, those transport me to my childhood, specifically with Brandy, when I used to go roller skating. I have very distinct memories of pulling out a pink Barbie, my pink Barbie roller skates that I wore with my shoes. And this will shock everyone to hear this. I was actually ridiculously good at roller skating, did it my entire life. With the fact that I am so clumsy, I don't know why that was one skill I picked up. Now, if you put me back in them today, I would probably break my face. But for some reason, as a kid, I was quite good. And Brady was too. And so when we first started learning, we learned on our porch because we had a big concrete porch that went around the side of the house. Mm-hmm. On the first house that I was in, and we would put our Barbie skates that went over our shoes on, and we'd have a little CD player that had the radio on it, nothing fancy, and you pulled the little antenna up, it was silver. And that summer, Cotton Eye Joe and Tub Thumping were everywhere, and they were on the radio constantly. So both those take me back to that specific moment.
And Tub Thumping actually takes me to Hog's Stag Weekend in Blackpool, which was playing all the time when we were there.
It is about taking all the shots, so that makes sense for Stag Weekend.
Absolutely. Now, as far as my song is concerned, this is a song I've mentioned on the podcast before, but this is one that takes me immediately back there. And that's Give It Up by Casey and the Sunshine Band. Takes me to the Isle of Wight. It takes me back to Chiltern Chines. I was standing in there when Give It Up was being played, and then up on the wall they had some kind of kaleidoscope light thing. It was on the if you've got the beach behind you and you're looking at the stage, it was on the right hand side up on the wall. I can actually see this entire setup right now. Left hand side there was like a place that sold burgers, and then there was a little staircase. You went up to the top, and there was a room with a TV in it. Everything about that comes back to me when I think about that song.
And you told that story once before, and I thought it was like such a specific moment, Tim, for that specific time. Like, I don't know why that stands out to you so much. It's kind of interesting how that does.
Yeah, it's just the way the song starts. It just immediately transports me back. And I remember when I was there, I think it was on that trip there or a subsequent trip there, they started off the disco thing and they didn't have the kaleidoscope thing going. And even as a little kid, I was very clear it should be running. So I went over and saw the DJ. I said, can you turn the thing on? And he went, oh, yeah, I forgot. And he flicked it on. I was like, yes.
All right, Tim, pick us one more number.
Okay, we're going to close out this episode with the big number 28.
28. All right. Well, makes you feel like a bad A. I won't say the word because we are a PG podcast. Ironically, the song that I picked also has a bad word in it. And you guys have heard me say this many times on the show. If I had to pick a song that was my theme song, it would be The Bee Is Back by Elton John.
Yes, this is something that you've mentioned many times before.
Yeah. And it's fitting that this would be how I round out an episode about myself. But I love that song. I play it nonstop. I probably hear it, I don't know, 4 times a week, and it will never get old for me. I mean, that's true of Elton John for me in general, Tim. But that one specific, I mean, maybe besides like him and Kiki D, I could deal without hearing them again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super burnt out on those. I do like the song with Kiki D.
Yeah, but you know, I can only crocodile rocks for so many times. But yes, I will say. All right, Tim, well, what's your song?
Well, you know, I try and be nice. But one song that I used to listen to in my car that really used to get me into the zone of being, you know, trying to be something different. I used to listen to the James Bond music.
That's so on brand. Was there a specific one?
Well, no, the song. Bum, ba-dum, bum,
oh, you mean like the actual
James Bond theme, John Barry's James Bond theme. It really, tries to put you in a completely different personality. You know, that you're Roger Moore. Maybe you're about to go to space. I don't know.
I mean, it seems like if I had to pick something for you, Tim, I'm glad that's what we ended on.
Absolutely. I mean, and I will exclusively reveal, though it's not really that exclusive, I recently purchased the Moonraker soundtrack album. Now, I have it on record. I bought it on a vinyl record from Discogs, and it's like an original pressing from like the 70s or early 80s. But I didn't think there was a CD version. And very recently, I found out they did a limited run of them on CD a number of years ago, and I bought a copy. So I now have a CD copy of the soundtrack of the greatest film of all time.
I mean, that's perfect for you, Tim. I would hope for nothing less for you.
Well, thank you.
Tim's like, it sounded a little sarcastic. I'm kidding. No, I hope for nothing less. All right. What would you like to leave the people with?
I would say if you live in the United States, make sure you are registered to vote and just be kind to everybody that you meet.
I second that. Bye.
Bye.
To remind me of another day to